Okay, if all council will take their seats, we'll get started here in just a few moments. Just before, though, we get started, I just want to remind you about the microphone situation. There's a button on your right side of that apparatus there. Just push that particular button when you're willing to speak, and go ahead and point that gooseneck towards you too, and help it pick up a lot better your voice. About a minute away from 7 o'clock, just a little housekeeping here on TR 2022-89. The company that's included in this resolution will be calling in, so we'll have them online, and it'll probably be sooner than later that they call, probably about this time on out to the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Depends on how long we take on 2022-88. So it is 7 o'clock right now, so we're going to call this General Council of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma Council meeting, special called August 25th, 2022 to order. And I'm going to ask Chief Palmer at this time to go ahead and do roll call. Just for your information, after prayer, we'll be asking, for a consensus of the council on a temporary council secretary for this meeting only as well. So, Chief.
Leetta Sampson, Anthony Conley, John Narkamy.
Yeah, here.
Rena Tiger.
Here.
Anastasia Pittman.
Present.
Terry Edwards.
Present.
Ida Gonzalez.
Here.
Nancy Fixico. Tamara Downey. Leon Petit.
Here.
Joseph Billy.
Here.
Delois Harjo.
Here.
Karen Fulbright.
Here.
Ann Borba. Ann Borba. Stephanie Lambert. Stephanie Lambert. Sina Yeslith. Lottie Cootie. Ella Coleman. Shirley Watkins. Shirley Watkins. Okay. Tiffany Thomas.
Here.
Wayne Shaw.
Here.
Catherine McCoy.
Here.
Charlie Hill.
Here.
Tiffany Cully. Tiffany Cully. Danita Harjo.
Here.
Willis Dethridge.
Here.
Desiree Emerton.
Here.
Chair, Representative Borba is present.
Thank you. What's the count there, Chief? $24 present and 3 absent. A quorum has been established. I want to ask Mr. Dethridge to lead us in prayer this evening. If you would, Mr. Dethridge, that you lead us in prayer. We, as we met last week, we had a lot of people that left this walks of life that's close relation to this council and to the band chiefs, and we had a pillar of our community also leave this walks of life just in the last few days. And so remember the Harjo family as well as you pray. Thank you. Yeah, man. Okay, we have Ms. Suji Walker Harjo here, who's willing to be the temporary secretary for this meeting only, so we can do it by a consensus. Is there any objections to Susie continuing to be the temporary council secretary for this meeting? Any objections? Okay, if there's no objections, then we'll accept that by acclamation. Representative Cootie? It's hard to hear me? I'll get closer to my mic. My voice is not as strong as it was before COVID, unfortunately. Yes, is there any objections to Ms. Susie Walker being a temporary secretary for this meeting this evening? Okay. Representative Fulbright?
I don't have an objection. I just had a question. I'm wondering if she would be available for tonight in the quarterly meeting until we get a secretary in, or do we need to do it at each meeting?
You do it at each meeting. You do it at each meeting. So if she wants to continue to do that, as you can see on the quarterly meeting, the interviews for the council secretary is on the agenda at the end of the agenda. And the reason that I did do that as chairman of the council was to not put a secretary that, had never done it before in on this, behind this chair for a quarterly meeting. So give her some time to acclimate to the position if there's one chosen on that day. So if there's no objection to Ms. Susie, fulfilling the duties of the council secretary, we'll do that by acclamation, and we do have you a better packet tonight as well. Okay, we need to address the 10-day waiver. Obviously, we spoke with the band chiefs. We also spoke at the council meeting the other night that some of this information that came in after the agenda went out for that special call meeting, and that's why, we couldn't put it on that meeting, although, it came right there. At that time, we didn't want to try to shove all this underneath other business, being the sensitive of one of the measures anyway. So at this time, do we have a motion for the 10-day waiver of notice for a special call meeting?
Sure.
Okay, I saw Leon's hand first. Well, he'll be the motion.
We'd like to take notice.
Representative Dethridge will be the second. Motion of the waiver of the 10-day notice. We're going to do roll call on this one. Secretary? Waiver of the 10-day notice. There's a motion and a second on the floor. To accept a waiver of a 10-day notice.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert, Zena Yethers,
Yes.
Lottie Cootie, Ella Coleman,
Yes.
Shirley Watkins, Tiffany Thomas,
Yes.
Catherine McCoy,
Yes.
Charlie Hill,
Yes.
Tiffany Cully,
Yes.
Danita Harjo,
Yes.
Willis Dethridge,
Yes.
Desiree Emerton,
Yes.
counts 24 yes, 0 no, 0 abstention.
Okay, with a 24 yes,
Sir?
0.
Beg your pardon. She did not call me by name. So I didn't say yes or no or anything.
Okay, Wayne Shaw?
There's a vacant by that name, that's why. Is it after Tiffany Thomas?
Write his name in there. It
I'll
was
say yes, but I just wanted to let you know I didn't hear you call
Yeah.
my name at all.
on the roll call sheet.
The roll call sheet doesn't
Yeah,
have his
the
name
roll
on it.
call sheet didn't have his name on there. It did the other day, I believe, but tonight it didn't when we made this up. Wayne Shaw, of course, is,
Wayne Shaw.
thank you, Wayne, and we
Okay,
apologize for that.
25 yes, 0
omission.
no, 0
25 yes, 0 no, 0 abstentions. The 10-day waiver notice has been waived. So, okay, this reading in the minutes of the last meeting that be addressed at another time. There is no unfinished business at this moment, so we're into new business or reports of committees. There's none at this time as well, but we're into new business, TR 2022-88. This is a tribal resolution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma approving the establishment of a tribal transportation program agreement between the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma and the United States Department of Interior Bureau of Indian Affairs. Now, this happens every so often whenever there's a new authorization act for the surface transportation program, and that happened. And when the paperwork was forwarded for this program agreement, the central office in D.C. asked for a tribal resolution to support it. So it's a formality, but it's basically something that needs to be done. So we have the transportation director here. I'll go ahead and I entertain a motion, to get it on the floor. I entertain a motion to get this on the floor. Okay, Representative Kelly makes a motion. Is there a second? Okay, I saw a representative from the Doza Barkers band. Second it. Okay, it's on the floor. Rachel, if you would, come on up here if they have any questions on it. As I stated, it's something we do every now and then whenever there's a reauthorization by the President of the United States for this Transportation Act. And the central office is requesting that there'll be a tribal resolution to support the other documents as well. Representative Shaw, I see your hand. Yeah, you have the floor.
I'll start this off. I didn't know the phones were down over here. I've been trying to get hold of transportation so I could get some explanations and stuff. But since I did, I was going to request that she be here. I'm glad you're here. Has this gone before the board? Your committee has seen it? I can't hear you.
Use your
Oh.
microphone.
Okay, sorry. The committee has not met on that. They knew that the transportation agreement was coming because of the new Authorization Act, or the Transportation Act was coming, but they didn't meet on it. If I remember correctly, there were minutes that said that we were, I don't remember the exact language.
The reason I'm asking, I sat on the transportation for quite some time before. In the tip, we did a 20-year, 15-year tip agreement. And it had to come before the committee before it came to the council. And so I was wondering if that still stands. If there's somebody, I was going to ask if there's somebody on the committee to ask if they had met on it, or with the director.
No, we haven't met on it. It doesn't have to come before the committee or have a committee action to come to council, because council has the final authority on all of those things.
I know they made us as a committee as a go-between when I was sitting on it, and that we were to report. Somebody on the committee had to be here when we brought stuff up for transportation, and not only somebody there, but also that the director be there. What kind of changes have they made that's so drastic that we got to almost call emergency meeting here for?
Well, I think it's how the Transportation Act came through Congress. It's not us it's not the transportation, the Seminole Nation that is in a hurry to get these things done. It's on the Bureau side. We haven't received our 22 funding as yet, and that usually comes in May or June. So the transportation bill, they've been struggling to get all of their ducks in a row, and we're just kind of caught up in that. So we can do the transportation program agreement, or our tribe will have to wait until next June before we receive our 22 funding.
Well, I still say we got protocol that we need to follow for this general council. And like I said, in the past, that's the way it's been. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't know what it's all about anymore. I think that we should have had some kind of a explanation as to what's going on, at least the paperwork, so we could at least read it, even though we couldn't understand it. So we could ask questions on it prior to meeting on it. So, and if the Bureau at fault, then the Bureau should have sent paperwork to you and your office for you to present to this general council for us to look at anyway. I don't like going in something in the dark.
Right.
I've been beat up too many times.
Right, and the transportation, the tribal transportation program agreement is basically every transportation bill that comes down through Congress, we have to sign a new agreement in order to receive that funding, that yearly funding, that yearly allocation. So we're going from the FAST Act to the Surface Transportation Reauthorization Act. And this is a tribal transportation bill that will be, I don't know the word, in charge, I guess, of how our money is given to us over the next 4 or 5 years. It is kind of a technicality. I understand that it's basically the same G2G contract that we're on now with the FAST Act. There's it's
If
just the
nothing else,
agreement with
if
the
you'd have given
Bureau.
us what changes were being made, I think we might be able to understand a little more.
There aren't any real changes being made. It's the same,
Public law,
yeah, it's the same
11758.
public law. It's just we're getting a little bit more money, not a whole lot, for our yearly allocation, or they're estimating that we are. Other than that, it's the same. We're going to do business the same way that we did under the FAST Act. We're going to do business the same way we did under MAP 21. There haven't really been any changes. There's been more money poured into different programs like the bridge program and the safety program. on those different levels. But as far as the transportation agreement, there's no changes in how we do business with the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Y'all don't have to submit a roads map, new roads, old roads, what we've done, what we haven't done?
Do what? I couldn't understand you.
I said y'all don't do a, what do you call it?
Inventory.
An inventory?
Yeah.
Our inventory is going to remain the same. We're still going to be able to add roads to that inventory. We're looking at some now that haven't been passed through, that's had problems. But it's the same program. It's the same exact program.
Like I said, my problem was not being educated enough on this to even think about it, and it's too soon for me. My protege and I'll have a talk about that before we vote on it. So, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Basically, it's that, that terminology everybody wants to harp on recently. Sovereignty, government-to-government relations, that's what this is. It's the United States through the President of the United States that signed the Surface Transportation Reauthorization Act. And if we want to receive those monies, then it must be passed at this council. It's as simple as that. Representative Narkany?
Just for clarification, I know as the program director, you read the previous TTP agreement, correct?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you.
As the program director, you have read the previous TTP agreement, correct? And then you've read this new one that's coming before us now, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so as the program director, you're telling us that there are no major changes between the last agreement and this agreement.
No, what it does mention is that any of the monies that we still have from the FAST Act, from the MAP 21, all the way back to the safety loo, is still ours, and we're still going to remain spending that funding. It doesn't change that. It doesn't take that away. So those are all listed in the act, or in the agreement.
Okay. I think that's what we were all curious about, just if there were anything of note anything to make note of in this new agreement. Thank you.
Representative, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you tell us the timeline? When do you expect to have the memorandum of understanding agreement completed if this passes? And when does the allocations begin?
Okay, so when this, if it passes, if the council decides to pass this, we will send this on to the Bureau of Indian Affairs. It will, I'm not sure when we will receive our FY22, but this will start October 1. And we normally receive our funding around May and June of the fiscal year. Right, so the new allocations under this act will start in the next year, right?
Those 22 funds are ready to be released as soon as they get this council resolution. Barry Hughes is the Division Chief, Division of Transportation for the Eastern Regional Bureau of Indian Affairs, and he's corresponded with me, and he got this to us right before that last special called meeting, and it was just too late to get on that meeting, and then I emailed him back and said, because he was wanting it right away, and he said, Chief, we're reserving these funds for you. Just please get the resolution to us. Yeah. Representative Petit?
Yes. Is this a multi-year agreement, or is it something kind of like a housekeeping item that has to be done each year?
Usually the transportation acts last 4 years, or unless they decide to extend it. This will last throughout the act, the Surface Transportation Reauthorization Act. Throughout the lifetime of that legislation, this will be in effect.
Any other questions? Representative Sampson?
Now, in the bill, it states that it's members. So does that mean that the freedmen are not entitled to this?
I haven't had that question before. So transportation is an open general public to all people, whether it's tribal members or non-tribal members or citizens or non-citizens, whatever the case may be. Everyone benefits from the transportation department. We're a general public. We build roads within the reservation. Our transit runs. It's open to the general public. So there's no, I don't know the word right now. There's no,
There's not necessarily individuals specifically served. It's like this road we drive on. Every time we come on the
Right,
mission.
but the word members to the freedmen is very sensitive. That's why I asked the question.
okay.
Thank you.
Representative Pittman? Representative Pittman, did you have your hand up?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are we entering into an agreement for another agency to receive the funds for us, or is the Seminole Nation actually receiving the funds? And if we are, who is that?
We're not a direct recipient of FHWA funds, so it comes through the Bureau of Indian Affairs. We're a G2G program. So we're above the 638 program, but we're below a self-governance.
Okay, any other further questions? Discussion? If not, there's a motion and second on the floor. Secretary, this is TR 2022-88. Secretary?
Thank you.
Yes.
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 Right.
Yes.
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 That microphone's off again. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Wayne Shaw,
Yes.
Catherine McCoy,
Yes.
Charlie Hill,
Yes.
Anita Harjo. Oh, Tiffany Cully,
Yes.
Danita Harjo,
Yes.
Willis Dethridge,
Yes.
Desiree Emerton,
Yes.
25 yes, 0 no, 0 abstention.
With a count of 25 yes, 0 no, and 0 abstentions, I declare TR 2022-88 to have passed. TR 2022-89, a tribal resolution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma, approving a one-time appropriation of the SSBCI allocation and any future SSBCI allocations awarded to the nation, authorizing entering into a memorandum of understanding between the nation and the Development Capital Networks LLC to manage and administer the allocated SSBCI funds for the benefit of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. All right. To get it on the floor, I entertain a motion to that effect, and discussion can be had. A motion by Representative Dethridge. We have a second. A second, Representative Gonzalez. It is in discussion, and we do have the gentleman online with us. And Chief Palmer is also going to be commenting on this particular resolution.
I'd like to turn the floor over to the company that can present the SSBCI to you. It's DCN. And I do believe they're on the call. So if there's no objections. Yes, we can hear you. You have the floor, sir.
Okay, how do you do?
Hello.
My name is Robert Rose. I'm with Christina Tax. We are two of the we're an Oklahoma City firm. We've been in business about 30 years. We specialize in working with territories, tribes, and countries to build and manage loan and investment programs to help small business. So we're all about small business, helping small businesses grow with extra capital so that they create jobs and benefit the regions that we partner with. All of our work is about economic development and supporting the businesses that generate economic growth. We have experience in this SSBCI, the State Small Business Credit Initiative. It's a program of the U.S. Treasury. The first version of this program is about 10 years ago, and we managed the program managing that capital. We've had a lot of success with it. A year ago, the program was reauthorized and expanded greatly, particularly in tribes specific allocation participated in the program. We are working with this reallocation, including Choctaw Nation, Muskogee Creek, Osage Nation, the Tuesday Creek tribe of Chippewa, and Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We're also working with American Samoa and the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. So we're scattered all over the country. He lives and works all over the country. And this is our we were approached by UP Service. The time is running out to apply and receive these funds. The application has to be in September 1. So today we are preparing a draft amendment. Should you adopt the motions today to work with our firm? Our responsibility will be to manage these resources in a way that makes loans available to tribal members, wherever they might live, throughout the nation, to make equity investment available to the projects and to support general economic development that the tribe may feel warrants financial support of this time. Every dollar with an equal amount from a private. So there are a lot of rules. We do know how the program before this happened, but we will make this early bids on the administrative side. So our goal will be to program that benefits your citizens that are either launching or expanding a business and give them access to a new source of capital with which they might grow. I'll pause there, see if that is adequate, or see if there's anything you would add to that, just do so.
That was a good summary. I was ready to answer any questions if you have or want more detail on anything.
Representative Pittman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question. Have we done business with this company before in the past? So this will be a new agreement?
No. Yes.
What's the timeline for the memorandum of understanding? If we enter into this agreement, is it a 2-year agreement, a 5-year agreement for the allocation of these funds?
The implementation program, and as a result of the implementation, these dollars will be, I guess the way we're describing, they will be held by this program and available to support some generations of travelers who are trying to grow businesses.
Continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just for clarification, would we be able to pull out of this agreement in 10 years? Is this the way that the memorandum will be written?
Well, that would not probably be the case. This is more of an long-term engagement. It's a long-term fund. The cost, the method of implementing the program and building this program takes a number of years. And so we've not proposed it to be a 2-year engagement. We propose it to be at least a 10-year engagement.
Representative Pittman still has the floor, and there's other representatives needing to speak as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your indulgence. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name fully, but I wanted to ask if the tribe earns interest on the engagement of the memorandum of understanding, or do your company keep the interest? If it's a long-term agreement and the funds are captured, we only allocate funds as needed, but who keeps the interest on the funds that are captured?
The tribe owns the fund, owns the entity into which the funds are invested. Of that LLC interest. So these are, this is an asset of the tribe. This is an entity that the tribe will own in perpetuity, as long as you choose to operate. Was that your question?
Yes, thank you.
Representative Petit?
I just want to be clear on this now. I think the question she may have been asking was this investment money that's deposited, if it earns interest, does that interest come back to the nation over this 10-year program?
Okay. Forgive me. The interest is earned by interest on cash, interest on loans, interest on certificates of deposit that might be owned by the fund. All of that is income to the fund. The fund uses the income to pay costs, including us, lawyers, and other people who are responsible for managing.
You still have the floor, Representative Petit.
Okay, in regards to the loans that are made to the individuals, okay, well, part of the program that I understood was this was a loan guarantee program, is that correct? And it's to be socially distanced?
One works this way. They work with local lenders, credit unions, and the city of Bypass that we should make a loan. And when they choose to make a loan, presumably it is eligible, we will purchase a portion of that loan. We'll subordinate our interest to the lender, so that the lender gives them more comfort, and to the borrower gives them additional capital that wouldn't ordinarily qualify. So that is one method. Another method is if the borrower to the bank and doesn't have enough collateral, a lot, we can purchase the CD at the bank and purchase additional collateral program. That is a form of guarantee. We don't call it a guarantee, but it is a type of guarantee, called a collateral. Now, when a loan and it is available for repayment. So think of this as a revolving that will lend, get it back, lend it again, get it back. Over time, grow, and over time, have an opportunity to serve future generations of business.
Okay. In the event that the person who's making the loan was default on that loan, do we pay a percentage of that back to the lender? Because we're basically providing collateral for them, are we not? We're basically, okay, so we're underwriting that loan then, basically, or co-signing, I guess, essentially the way I would look at it.
Kind of like that. So let me give you an example. If the business needs the bank below given 60, they can come up with 20, but they need to have that. That's not fair. In that situation, we could purchase CD at the bank. The bank could rely on that additional collateral and let them update it. If the deal fails, where you're going to go to business, the bank is responsible for collecting the primary, whatever it is. And if there's a shortfall, then we take the CD, if that is needed to fill it. We've done this in Wyoming. For 180 loans, and we have legal law. And so you can do this, you can do it well without losing money. You can do it and make it. There are a lot of things like this that does well. Not all that has to do with performance, oftentimes it has to do with the market and timing and so forth. But our objective is to build a works that supports businesses that have the real opportunity to start growing, to make money with this, to plow the money back into the fund and grow the fund. That's our objective.
Okay, I think I just have one more question here. This is actually geared towards socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. And I understand that if it's in a business practice, they have to have 51% interest in that business practice. Is that correct?
No, I think it's correct. You know the answer to that?
Yeah, so from a treasurer's perspective, any member of the population is considered steady or socioeconomic disadvantage. And yes, I think you're right that they should be a 50% owner. But the program does allow the nation to provide support to small businesses that have relationships with the tribe, and have some kind of economic impact, and not, even if they're not owned by a member of the tribe. So there is that flexibility, as long as it's a business that the Seminole Nation tribe that makes sense.
All right, and this is my last question here, and I'll refrain from that. Okay, is this geared towards members or citizens within our the Seminole Nation territorial jurisdiction? Is that what it's geared for?
It's scared for those people. Citizens who have, so this is a policy question. Where do you want these, where do you want them to focus? Right now, we understand that there's a real in supporting citizens who may be starting anywhere. And so we're prepared to support Seminole citizens anywhere that they be seeking to build. Of course, most of the citizens have in the county, so that we expect those transactions to happen.
So what about entities within the nation that are established for, like, we have what we call a Seminole Nation Division of Commerce, which is our economic development arm of the Seminole Nation. Would they also be qualified to be able to possibly take a loan out with these funds?
The an enterprise could qualify for this capital so long as it's using capital. And what Treasury means by that is if you're using earnings, you can take those earnings and invest them in an enterprise and that account for this type of capital. So some tribal enterprises could qualify, others might not, depending upon the source of the match.
So I think there are two aspects here, just to clarify. A tribal enterprise could be a recipient of an investment or loan, or could provide the match the SSBCI loan.
That's correct.
Okay, I've seen Representative Cootie's hand.
Would there be any kind of training for tribal members if they apply for this loan, set up so that they can get some kind of training as to how to start a business?
There is no particular assistance component to our. However, we do have people providing within the county and among other organizations that are like providing. There is money available for technical assistance that the tribe can see and use it in ways like this.
And we're prepared to support the tribe in finding that. And we're prepared to maybe look back there to support the money.
Could you explain to the General Counsel, obviously when this was first applied for by our program development, there was at that point no match, but right now it's dollar for dollar. Now, how is it that the Seminole Nation, if the General Counsel was to approve the resolution and do a memorandum of understanding with your LLC, how is that match provided where we don't actually have to come up with the dollars?
You know, you're all that.
Yeah, I could hear the question.
When the program development officer applied for these funds, at that time, through the application process, there was not a dollar for dollar match. And as the process went through and it came back down and we were awarded the funds, then it became clear that there was a dollar for dollar match. Now, how is it that the Seminole Nation does not come up with that dollar to dollar match by going into an agreement with your company?
Good question. Did you get that, Robert? Regarding the one-to-one match, I'll give it a try and Robert can clarify. The match does not come from the Seminole Nation. The match comes from the Waiver funds committee. So you have your application of resources from the U.S. Treasury that you can lend, but rather than lending directly to businesses, Treasury really wants you to engage with private sector lenders as well, talking about the credit score program. So that match comes not from the nation itself, but from private lenders or the nation's private businesses if they want to service. But the match does not come from the nation's treasury. But what we will do is seek to have a private sector partner alongside it in any loan or investment that we make. Does that make sense? Would you add anything else to clarify that, Robert?
There is no obligation to create any capital. There is no requirement to private entities.
The challenge is, of course, if you don't find opportunities for deals, for investments or loans that have the match of private sector funding, then you might not be able to capture it. So that's why we've designed a program that is intended to work with private lenders or private businesses to ensure that there is a match for every dollar that's deployed from SSBCI to be sure that you capture the full amount of resources.
It's really the idea that we need to attract private investors or private business so we can help them do that. We can help them make it possible to participate, make a loan, invest with some help through the market. That's core. And in some cases, they'll provide that capital, but they're not obligated. And in some cases, they try to receive this capital, so long as there was a match. It's a very flexible program. It's a very structured program. We have to make sure that every single transaction is eligible that meets all the requirements. And then our process, we have to be funded to one of the representatives for the final sign. You'll have a person who is responsible for looking at every single one of the transactions we propose. And so you'll look at all of them, you know. And of course, we will be reporting to you regularly on the progress of building the transactions and the results that occurred and the jobs that were created. That will be part of our routine. We'll be coming back to this meeting, I'm sure, many times and saying, here's the good news.
Let's go with the representation from the newcomer band, Representative Bulber, then we'll come back to you, okay, Representative Pittman?
Yes, I would like to know the name of this company. When he first introduced himself, I didn't catch it, or his name. If he could tell us the name of his company and his name, please.
Yes. For HERD and Christina Katz, KAEZ. We're with Development Capital Networks, LLC. We're an Oklahoma company. We're headquartered in Oklahoma City.
You can learn more at our website, ecnt.com.
And what was the name of the company again? I still did not understand that.
It's on the resolution there. It's on the screen there behind us. Development Capital Networks LLC. Could you repeat that website again? It went pretty fast.
DCNT.com. I'll type it in the chat here for whoever's in front of the computer.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I see Representative Pittman. Any other council representatives? We'll take Representative Gonzalez since she had spoken on the same subject matter. And our rules of order, I'm still going to come back to you, though, because of the importance of this, okay? Let's let some of the other representatives speak. Representative Gonzalez?
Yes, thank you for coming to our council meeting. Mr. Hurd, I was wondering if you could explain what your fee for this service is? Thank you.
I see you, Representative Shaw. We'll get with you.
Robert, it looks like you finished for comment. Did you hear the last question?
I'm forgiven.
She asked if there was, Representative Gonzalez asked what was the fee for your company?
It's 3% on half that we are giving. It's, if we do equity investment, 20% profit. Overall.
It would be Representative Coleman, then Representative Shaw.
Okay. On the match, the funds that come from the private sector, the private partner, and there is no match requirement for the tribe, is there interest rate in paying back the private sector, the private investor?
So, small business are, the small business would be the, if they were responsible for paying, not us. The small business has to pay back the loan,
The match doesn't happen at the program level. The match happens at the small business level. So we can lend money or provide a guarantee to a small business if there's another private sector lender leading that loan. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
We're really here to help lenders and investors who are willing and eager to support tribal members in their business building endeavors to lend and invest money. Easier for them to do so, remove some of the risks for them, and make it possible for them to lower or invest capital.
And at the same time, they're helping those small businesses to build up a relationship with their local.
Representative Shaw?
I think Representative Gonzalez hit on half of what we need to know. Find out what you're going to get out of it, or what are we going to get out of it as a nation? You're getting 20% here and 3% there, but what is the Seminole Nation going to get out of this? What is it? We're here to protect the nation and the people of this nation. So what are we going to get? And will we, like Leon asked a minute ago about underwriting, are we going to be responsible for that dollar for dollar payback? If we are, then we need to really consider this. But at this time, what is the start off with? What is the Seminole Nation going to get out of this? Just a sponsor?
We work with, we work with, city engaging states and tribes and territories who are trying to accomplish economic development, trying to attract resources for their citizens. And that's what the Seminole Nation did out. The opportunity to attract a new source of federal dollars for their citizens who are engaged in business. That's what we're trying to do. And this becomes a permanent resource you choose to operate with, permanent long term, and future generations will be able to tap as they got help.
Everybody pretty much understand that? In other words, you're not gonna get nothing, but I work for a man too, but unless he paid me, I didn't get any satisfaction out of working for him. And that's what we seem to be doing. Remember our little grape project that we had up here? We turned that over to private people, and where's it at? Where are we at? We're not getting down and getting right into the middle of the nitty-gritty and see what the meat of the matter is. All we're doing is skimming the surface. And we need to be able to sit down and like, we've only seen one investor, one LLC come up here. We're breaking our own rules and our own laws under procurement that we're supposed to have at least 3 bids. And we're not even doing that. But as a council, I'm not speaking against anything or anybody, but I think you need to sit down and study what we're doing. We're not studying it well enough to give an informed answer, a yes or a no. They asked me, well, what's going on here? How come this is coming up? I said, I have to run it on administration because it came up here asking for a yes vote, bottom line. What do y'all want to do? I mean, think about it. It's not going to help me or mine because all my kids are all working. And I've got things set up for my grandkids already, and great-grandkids. So I think everybody should be planning for the future, but I don't think I'm having a problem with not getting anything out of it, bottom line. And then if we underwrite it, if we're the ones that sign off on it as the, what y'all call it a while ago, when you loan money or you go co-sign. That's exactly what we're doing. We're co-signing for somebody out here. And if they go defunct, guess who pays it back? That company you're getting up there is not, or any company that you put up there and get on a MOU is not going to pay a penny of it back. This money is allocated to the Seminole Nation. And the Seminole Nation, as such, we're underwriting it, and we're going to end up having to pay back whatever, that dollar for dollar or 20 for dollar or whatever on bad investments that should happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we need to check our own pockets before we go and start wanting to put money out and give it away. That's all I got to say. But you're saying we got a deadline now. You give us till next week, 1 week from today, to get this paperwork in. Can we ask for an extension so we can look at it in depth?
Yeah.
I think what you made, I thought you had expounded on that it wasn't the nation that pays that bit, that equalizing bank that, matches the fund. So it would actually be the bank that would be the bank that did this, or the investment on the other end that did this, that's actually doing the collecting, not the Seminole Nation.
Who is that? Who is this granted to? Is it granted to, what is that, DCNT or what, the LLC? Or is it granted to the Seminole Nation? Look at it. Okay, then bottom line is Seminole Nation is responsible. In my mind, maybe I'm stupid, but Sometimes I'm glad I'm plumb stupid. But I have problems with that. That's all I got to say. No more questions from me or anything.
If I could just step in for a moment, and thank you for raising those questions. That's always important that you're keeping the core objective and the interests of the nation and your people at heart. You know, we believe in that as well. So just a few clarifications. Obviously, we can't speak to your selection process. That's for you to decide. Just a few points to clarify. So the deadline is the U.S. Treasury imposed. And so that's September 1st deadline. We have nothing to do. That's the U.S. Treasury for this program. And then just another clarification. So the capital has been allocated for the Seminole Nation. What they need is for the Seminole Nation to then a plan for using that capital by September 1st. If you don't do that, then the capital doesn't come. But if you do present a plan, have and put this money to benefit community members and citizens of the Seminole Nation. So those have a small business, and they're trying to build it, make it grow, they need, and they are able to get a loan from the bank. They don't have collateral. That's what this program is designed to benefit the people of the Seminole Nation. And where we come in is just help make that program for you so that you can capture money and make sure it gets out there and gets deployed and meets all the treasury requirements. So there is typically, it's a unique program, and then the capital come from treasury. It's not asking for any money to come out the nation's own pocket. And so even if there is the money will have either from this pot of money from the treasury, SSBCI capital. That's the money they'll use to put the collateral if they default. So it's a little bit complicated, but we think that should be fine to help get that benefit for your people that you want. And, hopefully you can do a little more detail.
Chief, did you want to make a comment? We're back to Representative Pittman. I think Chief Palmer wanted to make a comment. Is that all right before we come back to you, Representative Pittman?
Yeah, I just want to make a couple of comments. Almost weekly, we get a phone call or somebody reaches out to me on Facebook wanting to know if the Seminole Nation has any projects or any programs that are lending programs for small businesses. It is a weekly occurrence that somebody reaches out to the Seminole Nation wanting to know if we have this type of program. And this is exactly what this program is. Yes, it's $4 million that we know we're going to receive guaranteed, about $4.5 million. The tribes that do not apply for this and aren't approved for this, that money will then be reallocated to the tribes that did. So let's say an event we do not pass this tonight. Our $4.5 million that we know we can receive is going to be distributed to other tribes that are still going to do this same program. So it's one of those things, you can kind of look at this as free play. They give the money to you, you gamble it, you're going to win. It's that kind of analogy that is the simplest to kind of somewhat, some of y'all win, some of us don't, but that's how you look at it is, yes, it would be Seminole Nation's money, but it's not coming from the Seminole Nation. It's coming from the U.S. Treasury. Even though we have that letter of the appropriation, we still have to submit a grant style application, and attached to that is a business plan. If that business plan isn't approved, then we still don't get the money. That's where this company comes in. I've held several conferences with several other companies. This is the only company that has stated we're going to earmark funds that's going to directly affect the economy within the Seminole Nation. The other companies, they wanted to invest elsewhere. They were not going to look at it as something that's going to help our individual tribal members. It was just they wanted a rate of return. So in doing that, this is why this company, they present the best option, the best viable option for us to be able to say to our tribal members that this is coming, you're going to be able to apply. If you meet the requirements and it's approved, you've got money for your business. It's that simple.
We have Representative Pittman and Representative Petit, then we'll come back to you, Representative Deathridge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I heard in his statement earlier that every transaction that they make will come back for an officer to be approved. And my question is it coming back before the council, or is it coming back before our finance committee chair? Or who is that officer that signs off on every transaction? Then I have a second question.
Okay, so to answer that one, if we get this, if the council approves this resolution, if our application is approved by U.S. Treasury, we can develop that. We can create a board. We can designate the finance committee. That is going to be up to the general counsel to decide. And that's something that we have to get past stage 1, stage 2, and then we can develop that.
And my follow-up question is when Mr. Roberts stated that the 20% and the 3%, if there are no investments done on property equity, do we still owe the 20%? And is the 20% paid annually, or is it paid by the entirety of the funds received?
So my understanding is going to be transaction. If they have no equity transactions, then they don't. Now, when you look at 3%, that's going to be less than $200,000. So I think 5% is about $200,000. So the complexity of these funds, when you look at what it takes to manage it, $200,000 is honestly not that much for this type of program. With the reporting that needs to be done, with all the requirements that need to be handled, it's not something that the Seminole Nation could handle itself, especially needing to have those other investors come in to put up the one-to-one match.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for clarification, is the 3% or the 20%, which you answered the 20%, is the 3% paid annually, or is it paid 3% over a 10-year span, which is what the memorandum of understanding would be written as? Are we paying $200,000 a year? Or are we paying $200,000 over a 10-year period just for reporting practices?
So it's going to be overall, and it kind of depends on how much is in that fund. So as our funds grow, then that percentage would grow as well. It would still be 3%, but it's essentially going to come out the same.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is my last
Representative
question.
Petit, and then Representative Deathridge.
Okay, so I believe there might have been some misunderstanding whenever you said people call to want to find out if we can do the lending. The way I understand this, we're not going to be the lender. We're just going to basically be, if this passes, we'll be employing this organization here, this Development Capital Network, to basically be the middleman to make contacts for that person with a banking or lending institution to make that loan available for them. We're simply going to be underwriting it with this $4.5 million that we're going to receive if we qualify for it with the Treasury Department. Now, it says, and my research is, this has been around 10 or 12 years, and my deal basically is this was a 1-week notice to us, and it's kind of quick to do your homework that quick. And I'm sure each of these others are in that same boat. My question is this something that comes for reauthorization or reapplication again in 2023? Does the Treasury provide that so that we would have time to look at it and maybe make application once we've had an opportunity to study it? Because my concern is, like these others, I don't want to put the Seminole Nation at risk.
That's a great question. So comment on your first one. You are correct. This would give us an avenue to point those tribal members to say, this is where you go. Again, this is zero risk to the Seminole Nation. It's $4 million. That is the Treasury's funding that they're going to basically pass to us, and we have to pass to an approved plan. And that's where this company comes in order to do that. This isn't something that's going to be reauthorized. It's not going to come up as a housekeeping item. We have until September 1st if it's September 1st, rolls around to midnight, we haven't hit enter, we lose the 4.5 million, and that's going to go to the other tribes that are choosing to do this application.
Well, the only reason I ask that is because this has been around for 10 years, 12, 13 years, and to us, most of us here, this is the first time we've heard of this. That's the first time I've heard of this program. And
Right. For the tribal side,
Oklahoma has tried it, I guess.
yeah, it's been expanded. It's been expanded to the tribal side throughout the United States, so it is new as far as that's concerned. But again, we knew about these funds as we came into office, that they were possibly available. And without having our program developer in place, trying to basically play catch up, for the last couple 2 or 3 weeks, we've been having several meetings with other companies trying to get this. And this is why we brought this to the band chiefs meeting before the council meeting, and then why we touched upon it at the council meeting, because time is of essence. It's simple. It's $4 million. There's no risk to the Seminole Nation. We either approve it and it creates a business that's going to have lending opportunities that's going to directly impact the economy for the Seminole Nation, or we don't. And it's that simple.
We spoke with the Division of Commerce about this as well. As them possibly being the one that manages and does it, but they don't have the capacity at this present time to do that, unfortunately. Mr. Dithridge, Representative Dithridge, I think. And just for clarification, we're different. The administration will bring it to you to vote yes. So you vote yes, it's up to this council. You vote no. I'm okay with it either way.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Development Capital Networks, are they still online or are they, have they hung up?
Forgive me,
I didn't have a question for, but yes, actually I do.
Can you point the mic towards you, Representative Dithridge? Thank you.
First of all, you said the nation's going to get $4 million. Is that a guaranteed, or is that depending on whether we have a firm like DCN or some other firm, or
So the initial appropriation that we are guaranteed to receive is about $4.5 million. But if the other tribes that have the opportunity to apply for this do not, then that would go back into that methodology. So we could receive 5, we could receive 6. We don't know yet, but we know it's at least $4.5 million.
do we have to use DCN, or could we develop our own loan institution through the SINDOC or something?
What it would take to get this developed, and as Chief Chairman alluded to, we approached the Division of Commerce and they respectfully declined because they do not have the capacity, nor would they have the ability to develop a plan that the U.S. Treasury is going to approve.
Okay, next question, this will be for Mr. Hurd. Then, will all of the monies that the Seminole Nation receives through this SSBCI, will it all be earmarked for loans for Seminole tribal members and citizens? Or will some of this money, will your firm use some of this money outside of the Seminole Nation? Will you be using Seminole Nation's money to make money for your firm and the Seminole Nation not receive any benefits from that?
We go over the transactions that are beneficial to the tribe. Every single transaction we do,
So all of the $4 million that gets invested, it may be invested in something outside of the Seminole Nation, or our citizens or tribal members, but we will still have an opportunity to say yay or nay to any outside investments.
Yes.
Okay.
It makes sense.
Is there any way that the Seminole Nation can lose $4 million?
There's one important point to clarify the expectations about that. Treasury will disperse that money in 3 tranches, out of 3rd each time. And so you'll receive a 3rd per month. And then the program has to be set up and operating and actually deploy at least 80% of the money into next. So I want to make sure there's an expectation of 4.5 right off the bat, which is also why, as this was explaining, it's important to have a firm that, can help have that understanding the program for each level program to be sure that we deploy any investments. Businesses that are not owned by Seminole Nation members will have to have an impact on the nation, but also may be important to be sure to deploy the capital and capture for long-term preservation.
Okay, I appreciate what you said, but I only got about half of what you said. It's kind of like you work for AT&T, and every time you call AT&T, you talk to somebody, and you only get half that conversation because their name is Jack and Joe, and their real names Juan and Jose. And so that's where I'm at with you, ma'am. I'm sorry. I just could not understand you. So, thank you.
I apologize. Would you like Robert to repeat what I said to clarify about the tranche?
No, you're fine. Basically, even though the initial total amount would be 4.5, it's not what would be received initially. It's going to come in thirds. Representative McCoy?
I just have a comment for you, Chair. You mentioned that when you came in office is when you kind of heard about this. So my comment would be, if you kind of knew this was in the works, it was coming up, why weren't we notified ahead of time that this could be a possibility? My concern is the late notice. And if you are describing the band chief meeting, that was, I believe, on the 15th maybe, it was a very nutshell kind of presentation that you gave, and it was not as in-depth as what we're being presented tonight, which presents a problem to be so rushed and having to get this information voted on. So I'm just disappointed that the information wasn't brought sooner and we're having to be rushed and pushed into making what I think is a really big decision for the nation.
So yes, we were aware of this. We were not aware whenever the program developer applied for these funds that there was a match. Because obviously for the Seminole Nation to apply for a grant that has a match, it has to come before the General Council beforehand. So we have a letter that is stating that there's an appropriation amount. But in order for us to receive that amount, we have to apply for it in the U.S. Treasury portal with a business plan. So essentially like a grant, and it has to be approved. And so even during the band chiefs meeting in which we brought this forward, we were still conducting consultations with companies trying to find the best one that could tell me and tell the Seminole Nation that we are going to invest in the Seminole Nation. All the other companies that more or less were interviewed were more concerned about the rate of return. They weren't concerned about it staying in Oklahoma or staying within our tribal enrollment. They were more worried about the rate of return. And so this company, to me, I feel like they shared the values of the Seminole Nation and could answer those questions as far as where the money would go. And then also, again, we have final approval 100% of the time on where this money goes. And even though, again, we're not having to put up the $4.5 million, it's just being given to us. It's a gift. It passes through. They manage it for us. There is a lot of trust in this company. but they want to be successful too. And looking at their track record, looking at their rate of returns, looking at their business models that they've used over the last 30 years is why they're being brought to the council. Representative Gonzalez.
I actually have two questions. One, how many employees do you have and will be handling this account?
We have about 15 employees.
And how many will be?
Yeah, we work as a team, basically all of us work on everything. So, we expect to have at least one staff person will be delivering this account, and they'll also be part of our management team.
All right, thank you. My second question is for our Attorney General. I'd like to know, have you reviewed this, what has been introduced, and do you have any comments on it?
I can only speak for Valerie. Valerie has done the review and has worked with the chief and assistant chief on this project. And her message to me is that everything is completely above board and she supports this.
One thing, let me just make it totally clear. I mean, sometimes it appears, that, just executive worked on this, but we have grant consultants that actually, when the program director had brought it to me about the match, I said, and I realized that it shifted from believing there was no match to where it was a match, and that we're going to receive this funds if we so choose to receive it. So there was conversation about, just not doing it at all, and then once that we consulted with some grant writers that we have, that's helping us, to gain access to other types of grants that is of the needs of the nation. Obviously, they shared that information mainly with Chief Palmer as he was dealing with those particular grant writers that we have aboard right now. Obviously, the Attorney General also was confirmed with it, so it's not something that just come up. But the thing about it is, we don't make the deadline. It could have it come back. Well, we lost our program developer probably going on a month now or longer, month and a half, 6 weeks ago, 6 to 7, so going on 7 weeks ago now. We do have a new program developer coming aboard here in the next 10 days. That is, in my opinion, it's going to be very beneficial to the nation. But what the council decides to do with this tonight, it's totally, up to the council. It was brought to you, and I realize it was not in a timely manner. Maybe we didn't have much to look at this, or even weeks to look at this. So I think probably, is there any other discussion? Any other? So, I think Chief Palmer wants to make one more comment.
I just have one comment, and again, it's about timing. Yesterday, we became aware that U.S. Treasury announced an opportunity to receive up to $3 million. That was just announced yesterday. That deadline is October 31st. So these things are coming through in a more business-styled structure to where, okay, it's released, we're aware of it, and again, this one is one that doesn't have a match, so we can apply for it. It doesn't take anything from General Counsel that's going to require anything unless we're awarded it, and then it would go to Finance Committee and then be brought in to be incorporated into the comprehensive budget. But the things that are coming in from the U.S. Treasury, they're coming in at a faster rate, and we have to be able to respond to it. And unfortunately, our style of government doesn't allow us to be able to respond as quickly as some of these measures require. And it's unfortunate, but again, it's $4.5 million at a minimum. It's a great opportunity. And again, if we don't take it, we haven't lost anything. If we take this, we could really truly gain economic development. Since 2012, the population within our Seminole Nation Reservation has been on a decline, and it continues to do so. And it's doing that because we have no economic development. We have no higher standard of living. We have a medium income for our Seminole Nation Reservation is for a house for 2 adults working is less than $40,000 with a 23-mile commute. They're not working here within the Seminole Nation. They're leaving. They're going to Shawnee. They're going to Ada. And when you look at that average, I drive 4 miles to work. So when you throw in those numbers to somebody that's driving to Tinker, that's driving to Shawnee, that's driving to Ada, you know, that's what affects those numbers. We don't have anything. We're in a desert. You look at the major employers. We have Walmart, we have Wrangler, we have Sigma, Enviro. Beyond that, what major employer do we have? This would allow us to truly build our nation. And that's one thing that I spoke about during the inauguration, is this general council has a true opportunity to rebuild our nation, and it's done so up to this point. With the ARPA dollars, with the investments, you know, this is an exciting time that we are truly impacting our generation now and for the future. And it's just a great opportunity. So that's all I have to say, and hopefully we can move forward.
Okay. You know, he did mention about the U.S. Treasury news that came down to us. We already checked the Treasury portal, the application for submission. We're putting a team together to make sure that we submit that application in the proper and adequate way to be able to receive those funds. And it's actually a little more than that, $3 million possibly for both fiscal year 2022. It just came available July the 29th, and tribes will start receiving those funds for 22 soon. So we will be submitting. It doesn't cost us anything as a nation, a plan to the U.S. Treasury for those funds. And it's real flexible too in the area. And it's basically for government is what it's for, operations of tribal government. Okay, no further discussion. There is a question. Representative Narkamy.
I was just going to say that when this agenda was released, I saw the name of the company. I did look them up. I did a little research on them. I'll agree with Assistant Chief that their returns are very good. They do have a good reputation, and I just like to say that I believe that this is, as far as I can see, this is a reputable company, and they have provided returns for their customers. Other than that, I call for question.
Okay. This is Tribal Resolution 2022-89. So the question has been called for. Secretary, go ahead and call the roll. Thank you.
Leetta Sampson?
No.
Anthony Conley?
No.
John Narkamy?
Yes.
Rena Tiger?
Yes.
Anastasia Pittman?
No.
Terry Edwards?
No.
Ida Gonzalez?
Yes.
Nancy Fixico? Tamara Downing?
No.
Leon Pete?
No.
Joseph Billy?
No.
Dolores Harjo?
No.
Karen Fulbright?
Yes.
Ann Borba?
Yes.
Sina Yetlis,
Yes.
Lottie Kitty,
She said no.
Ella Coleman,
Yes.
Tiffany Thomas,
No.
Wayne Shaw,
No.
Catherine McCoy,
No.
Charlie Hill,
No.
Tiffany Cully,
No.
Danita Harjo,
No.
Willis Dethridge,
Yes.
Desiree Emerton, ten yes, 15 no, 0 abstention.
Read that again, Secretary, if you would. Read that again, the count. Yes, 15 no? That's
10
zero?
yes, 15 no, 0
Okay.
abstention.
10 yes, 15 no, and 0 abstentions. I declare TR 2022-89 to have failed. So that's the agenda for tonight. Appreciate everybody coming out and all the discussion that took place. Representative Shaw?
Before we adjourn, when I first got on this council, got back on the council 2 meetings ago, I questioned about trying to get the Grisso on there. Grisso is still there. I read what you sent the chairman, but the thing is, we've got that albatross around our neck and we're still paying that big money. I'd like to question, how much do we still owe on it today?
About $1,595,000.
How much?
$1,595,000.
We bought it for $1.3 million.
I think the finance was $4.8 million.
Well, I think we're doing some bad business here. We've had it 10 years and we're still paying more. So I'm going to request.
Let me share this with you, and I'm glad you brought this up, Representative Shaw. The actual Tribal Resolution 2019-01 requires the chief to do the negotiation or my designee, as well as the council to appoint a designee. The last administration, to my knowledge, never did do that. So if negotiations was going with whoever it may have been, it wasn't done done the way the council had placed in the resolution. So what I'm going to ask the council to do, I'm glad you brought this up. I'm going to ask them to actually, give me a designee from the council, and we'll together go ahead and do a counter to that offer. That's how it is done in the realm of negotiation. Representative Yeslet, I see your hand there.
I still have the floor. I didn't give up the floor. But because I said I wanted to bring that up tonight, and I'm not gonna ask anymore. I'm gonna almost demand that we have it on the next quarterly meeting, whether we sell it or
We
not.
will not have it on the next quarterly meeting unless this council designates a designee from this council, like the resolution states, and it went for the sale.
We can put anybody on there.
Yeah, you can, and let's do that. Whoever you're going to put on there, let's put somebody on there so the chief can continue to negotiate.
Okay, then at this time, I'm gonna ask that we go out of order of business and put somebody on there.
Well, you can do it by consensus.
And I ask for a second or by consensus.
Let's do it by consensus. Is there somebody that wants to sit with me on negotiations with Carter Real Estate? I will also say that the Carter Real Estate's contract, expired, but I signed it. I signed it again, and I want you to know why I signed it to continue it on, because this council has a standing resolution. When the council has a standing resolution, executive attempts to execute it. That's why I went back to that original resolution and read it thoroughly, and it does require a designee from the council. Representative Yesleth?
Yes, my dad had 2 questions. The first one is there going to be a carnival at Seminole Nation Days for the kids?
There will be a carnival.
There will be?
Yes.
Okay, and the second question is where is the parade going to be held?
The parade's going to be held here at Miccosukee Mission.
At the Mission? Okay. There was just some concerns about that. Is it going to be on this main little strip here, or is it going to be around the grounds?
We had a meeting yesterday, establishing the route that's more accommodating, for it being here at the Mission. One of the reasons that we
Chair,
decided.
I hate to be rude, but the point of order, we have a motion on the floor, and you said by consensus, if you place
we can do
somebody
it.
on there.
It doesn't
And then
take a motion by
we went
consensus.
to carnivals and parades now. No, let's go back and put somebody on this, somebody.
We can do it by consensus, but if you're going to do a motion, you're going to have to put other business on the agenda. We didn't do that.
Don't start this again. I think the general counsel can set the agenda. I think they got a little more power than the chair, don't they?
Oh, yeah, in the order, within the code, that's what code says.
We don't go by codes anymore either, seem like. Point of order.
Yeah, I don't know if you as an individual does, I try to.
That we put somebody on there so we can get rid of that Grisso. And he said, I gotta have somebody if y'all wanna seat somebody. So I am answering his question. Are we gonna seat somebody tonight
I
or
think you can do
not?
it by consensus, yeah. It's
By
just-
consensus?
Yeah.
I don't wanna do it. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna ask Leon if he'll do it.
I'm gonna ask Leon if he can do it too.
I'm gonna ask Leon if he'll do it too.
We're all gonna ask Leon by consensus.
Point of order, we don't have other business on this
Yeah,
agenda.
but by consensus, you can do this because it's a requirement under TR 2019, which was never done. It was never done by consensus. If you want me to continue to negotiate, I need that designee from the council.
We have a designated.
I have a general idea what the counter can be, under all the discussion that hit this floor over the last several years on this particular subject matter. And that's what I have to base is the ongoing history of this subject matter, as well as with the sale, with the resolution that's standing. Representative Fulbright.
Well, if you're going to add it onto the agenda, then I ask that we consider Ms. Chotty Watkins. Is that her last name? Shirley. Chotty Watkins. Why? You wanted to put it on here? Yeah, the designee. Oh, come on here.
Right now, not put anything else on there right now.
Well, just for clarification, we just need a designee from this governing body, the Seminole Nation, it's not an appointment. It's a designee, okay? It doesn't have to go to necessary to a vote. Can we make a decision to have somebody help the chief to negotiate?
We're nominating then, or designating.
I'm sorry?
That's who we'd like to, or I've thrown that name out there. I don't see a bunch of names being thrown out there.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we have a name on the floor who has accepted. We just didn't complete the process because we were still going back and forth. We nominated Mr. Petit as a consensus, not a nomination for us to vote on, but a consensus.
Okay, when there's somebody else that also has somebody, then what I would request as the chair is to have the council, you usually try to do it at the beginning of the meeting. If you want to have other business to be placed on this agenda, then you can do so. That's within your power to do that. If we're going to go to a vote, because if you have a consensus is where everybody agrees on an individual. Now we have two different names floating around. Representative Malcolm.
First things first, I think the general counsel has to agree to go into other business at all.
I can't hear you, Representative
I
Malcolm.
think first things first, before any of this discussion can occur, the general counsel has to agree to go into other business.
Thank you.
You have to do what?
We have to agree to go into.
Yeah, that's what I just suggested. If you was going to put a motion on the floor, it's good to go to other business. Is that what the council desires?
I second that motion.
To have other business placed on the agenda? Okay. Who made the first motion? Was that your, did you make a motion to that effect, Representative Narkme? No. There's no first.
No, I did not. I just said if we are, then there needs to be.
Well, I'd like to negotiate for the behalf of the Seminole Nation with the council designate.
To go into
Okay, and she seconded it. Okay, now, there's a motion to have other business added to the agenda, which is the designee of the general counsel for negotiation of the sale of the Grisso. Okay, we got a motion by Representative Narkme and a second by Representative Pittman. So there we go. Secretary, everyone understand what we're voting on, just adding other business for the purpose. The motion is to add other business onto the agenda to address the council designee per tribal resolution 2019-01 that requires that, so that I can have a designee to go with me with Carter and do a counter and those types of things. Okay, there's a motion and a second. Secretary, call the roll.
Leetta Sampson,
No.
Anthony Conley,
No.
John Narkme,
Yes.
Rena Tiger,
Yes.
Anastasia Pittman,
Yes.
Terry Edwards, Ida Gonzalez,
No.
Nancy Fixico, Tamara Downey,
Yes.
Leon Pete,
Yes.
Joseph Billy,
Yes.
Dolores Harjo,
Yes.
Karen Fulbright,
No.
Ann Borba,
No.
Senior Yetless,
Yes.
Lottie Cootie, Ella Coleman,
Yes.
Tiffany Thomas,
Yes.
Wayne Shaw,
Yes.
Catherine McCoy,
Yes.
Charlie Hill,
Yes.
Tiffany Cully,
Abstain.
Danita Harjo,
Abstain.
Willis Dethridge, Desiree Emerton. $15 yes, 8 no, and 2 abstentions.
Okay, 15 yes, 8 no, and 2 abstentions. So we're in other business pertaining to the council designee for the sale of the Grisso Mansion. So I think there's a way to go about this, and we can have we have different folks that had been mentioned tonight prior to this other business. So we could take nominations and then vote for each one of them accordingly if that's what the council desires. How does the council want to proceed? Representative Pittman?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Is it possible for us to add both nominees together so that in the event that you have to negotiate and one is not available, can we send?
It doesn't necessarily, it does say a council designee in the singular version, but I suppose the council has the power to designate a negotiator along with myself. I'm already there, so I just need that designee.
Right, I was just getting clarification.
How's the council see that? The intent of the resolution was just to get somebody from the council, participating in the negotiation process. So if it's one or two, anyone object to that? That there be a couple of them? Representative Barber?
Yes, Chairman, would you consider taking both nominees, Mr. Petit and Ms. Watkins?
That's what was just kind of discussion, and that's up to the council, what they want to do, you know.
I make a motion that we approve both of them.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor now, Representative McCoy, and there's a second to that motion. Are you,
I just had a question when someone seconds that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Were you asking me to second it?
No, I said.
I just have a question.
No, you had a question, but there's a motion and a second on the floor. We're in discussion now.
Okay, great. My only question would be, do we know, or does somebody know what Ms. Watkins, would she even want to do that, be thrown into the mix is my only thing, because she's not present tonight. That's my only comment.
All I know is there's a motion and a second on the floor. And that's for Representative Petit, Representative Watkins to be the council's designee, along with myself, obviously, to finalize this, negotiate with for the sale of the Grisso. Bring it back to the council, obviously. Okay. No other discussion? We got a motion on the floor in a second. Secretary, you get that motion?
Out of sheets.
Okay. And roll call then. Thank you.
Okay, let's see how am I going to do this. They only gave me 2 tally sheets, and I don't have another one.
Oh,
Put it
yeah.
on.
Well, we didn't know what's going on in business. We don't have a printer here either.
Let's see. Well, I have paper. I just need to, okay, I'll figure out something here.
Yeah, there was 2 measures on the special call meeting. They put exactly 2 tally sheets in the folder. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, she's going to be able to do it, improvising.
Leah
Secretary?
Sampson,
Yes.
Anthony Conley,
Yes.
John Narcome, Rena Tiger,
No.
Anastasia Pittman,
Yes.
Terry Edwards,
Yes.
Ida Gonzalez,
No.
Nancy Fixico, Tamara Downey,
Yes.
Leon Pete,
Yes.
Joseph Billy,
No.
Delos Harjo,
No.
Karen Fulbright,
Yes.
Ann Bora,
Yes.
Sidney Yethlis,
Yes.
Lottie Cootie, Ella Coleman,
Yes.
Tiffany Thomas,
Yes.
Wayne Shaw,
Yes.
Catherine McCoy,
Yes.
Charlie Hill,
Yes.
Tiffany Cully,
Abstain.
Danita Harjo,
Abstain.
Willis Deathridge, Desiree Emerton. Seventeen yes, 6 no, and 2 abstentions.
Okay, with a count of 17 yes, 6 no, and 2 abstentions, I declare that those designees for the council, for the negotiations for the sale of Grisso has been established, and that's Ms. Shirley Watkins and Mr. Leon Petit. I seen Representative Bulber's hand first, and I seen your hand, Representative Jetzler.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
I said in that, is that what you were going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I was fixing to.
I just want, my band member just wanted to take, I had some elderlies, I just want to take in consideration that this road had no shoulder. If y'all plan the parade, just consideration on parking in the shoulder of this road. And that's just the safety concerns that they had.
Yeah, we'll take that in consideration. Thank you. I appreciate you bringing that to attention. Okay, no objections to adjourn. This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you for your attendance tonight. It's 8:53. Prayer. I'm going to pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we do thank you, Lord, for this day that you've given to us, the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Thank you for all the discussion held by the council this day and for the decisions that were made on all measures that was presented. And Father, we ask that you continue to just wrap your arms around those ones that have lost loved ones recently in the last few weeks. We know that it's a difficult time at this time, and just ask for your protection and your traveling mercies as we go back to our homes. In thy name we do pray. Amen. Thank you, council.